जा घट पर घट हो कबीरा, जा घट पर घट हो। कबीरा मन निर्मल भयो, जैसे गंगा नीर। कबीरा मन निर्मल भयो, जैसे गंगा नीर। पीछे पीछे हरि फिरे, कहत कबीर कबीर कबीरा, कहत कबीर कबीर। हरिओम।
हरिओम।
हरिओम। हरिओम।
हरिओम। हरिओम।
हरिओम।
ॐ सहना भवतु, नौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यं करवावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। So among the bhajans we just heard right now, one of my favorites indeed is of course Kabir Ki Dohe, which we just heard. And among them, the last one you heard, um, it's one of those which really made an impression. It says, Kabira man nirmal bhayo, jaise ganga neer. कबीरा मन निर्मल भयो जैसे गंगा नीर, पीछे पीछे हरि फिरे, कहत कबीर कबीर. O Kabira, turn your mind so pure, remove impurities from your mind, turn it as pure as the river Ganga. If you do that, you won't have to chase after God. God himself will come running after you. पीछे पीछे हरि फिरे, कहत कबीर कबीर. आपको भगवान की को ढूंढने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. कहते हैं संत कबीर, अपने मन को निर्मल करो, अपने अंतकरण को साफ करो, और स्वयं भगवान आपके पीछे, आपके सामने, आपके पीछे, आपके चारों ओर प्रकट होंगे. So the ball is in your court. You don't have to ask for anything. You have to lift yourself. Uddhared atmanatman. And that's what Vedanta does. It helps you purify your mind and your intellect. The entire subject of Vedanta is nothing but a rehabilitation of your mind and your intellect. That's what it is. How to diagnose and clean the mind, how to strengthen and uplift the intellect. In short, life is nothing but, a good life is nothing but a strong intellect and a obedient, clear controlled mind. A good life is nothing but a strong intellect and a clear, pure, simple mind. The question is, how do you get that clear mind? Question is, how do you empower that intellect? The mind by itself is like a monkey. The mind left to itself is like a child without any supervision. A child that doesn't grow up, you can argue, oh, sometimes you have to leave the children alone. That's how they learn. They will grow up. The mind is like a child that never learns. Unless it goes through a certain course of guidance. So the intellect in you is like the parent, the knowledge of the intellect and its capacity to guide, regulate, moderate the mind. Once you evolve over a period of time, the mind automatically turns quiet. The mind automatically turns clear. The mind automatically dissolves. See the way it works, and this is what we're going to study in the next couple of sections. Your mind is nothing but a vessel of desires. Your mind is nothing but a vessel of desires. Desires are thoughts flowing from you to the object of the world, in the world, object of your desire. I repeat, desires are nothing but a flow of thought from you to the object of your desire. The more the desires, the more the thoughts. The stronger the desire means the stream of thought is very thick and strong. A simple desire is like a passing thought, passing feeling. Yeah, I wanted to do it, but it's okay. Hmm? Don't you find yourself saying that? I wanted to do it, but yeah, it's okay. Simple desire. नहीं नहीं, I really have to do it. Please, कोई उपाय नहीं है. Like we say, strong desire, a relatively strong desire. The When a desire is very strong, you helplessly think about it. चिंता होती है. What is चिंता? Worry. It is nothing but that stream of thought flowing in your head, even when you don't want it to flow. We're not getting to the merits or demerits of it. We're not saying whether you should worry or not worry. And we're diagnosing what is worry. So all these emotions, worry, anxiety, anger, fear, all of these are nothing but modifications of desire. I repeat, all these emotions that you feel are nothing but modifications of desire. Where you don't have desire, you don't have these feelings. Where you don't have desire, you don't have these emotions. So no desire, no emotions. Too much desire, too much emotions. So if the flow of thought, if that strength of the desire is too strong, too emotion, too many emotions. It's a flood. Neither do we want a drought, nor do we want a flood. If you have no emotions, you're a stone. Uh, If you have too many emotions, stay away from me. That's not what I'm saying. Others will say it. I'm calling you all here to this class. Others will say, यार उसको दूर रखो. Hmm? No desires, you're a stone. People will not want to mix with you. Too many desires, problematic. Such people are eccentric. Such people are unpredictable. See, it's all a scale. It's all a scale. I'll try to pull out the. I'll try to pull out the. Let me see. I think it's in the Fall of the Human Intellect. Let me pull out that book. Got it. Just quick. You see this diagram out here? You see this diagram? This is a diagram depicting, everyone can see the screen? Yeah, thumbs up. Yeah, okay. This is a diagram demonstrating the state of your own mind, my mind, everyone's mind. The extent to which the intellect is in control. What is discriminative? Discriminative is any thought flowing through the awareness of the intellect. That's about it. It may arise in the mind. It might be a feeling of the mind, but it simply passes through um, the intellect is the watchdog. Mm. And impulsive means something that the mind does impulsively without any supervision. Later, you don't even realize you did it. Later, you may feel, oh my God, did I actually do that? You may or may not regret it. So, an impulsive action versus a discriminative action. An impulsive action is one which is purely driven by the mind. It has impulses and it doesn't go through the judgment of the intellect. It doesn't go through the filter of the intellect. You just end up behaving impulsively. A discriminative action is a thought, a feeling, a desire that passes through the awareness of the intellect. The intellect may choose to sanction it, may choose to not sanction it. And if it is sanctioned, by all means, whether you like it, do it. If you don't like it, don't do it. If it is not sanctioned, you ought to listen to the intellect. So that's discrimination versus impulse. So 100% discriminative and 0% impulsive. Swamiji is a very tough teacher. He says, you are sane only when 100% is discriminative, 0% is impulsive. If 100% of your actions, if 100% of your, whether it's mental actions or physical actions, are discriminative, then you are called sane. See, suppose I ask you, are you sane? Are you sane? You say, yes, I'm sane, of course. Look at me, I'm such a sane person. I'll say, are 100% of your actions discriminative? Uh, Sometimes I am impulsive. Huh? So according to Swamiji, not according to me, according to Swamiji, you're not 100% sane. Huh? Some gadbad in there. So nobody's 100% sane. We are all, we all generally fall into the category between what is emotional and eccentric. All of us. The rare person will be between sane and emotional. Emotional means 75% discriminative, 25% impulsive. One out of four things you do is a little bit of a just listen to the mind. I see simple things. You might ask me, what am I meaning? It's simple things in your eating habits, in your sleeping habits, in your watching TV habits. How many of you are able to turn off Netflix at the end of a show? I'm talking to the wrong generation of people. I should talk to my generation. That's why Netflix has a timer at the end of the series, episode. Five, four, three, two, one. If you don't do anything, it'll start the next episode, and then you're sucked in. That's impulse. You're looking at the time and you're like, अरे छोड़ो यार सब कुछ बाद में देखेंगे ये कर लेते हैं. Let's do it. Let's watch one more episode. Uh, that's an impulsive action. The entire world of marketing is trying to provoke your impulses. That's what it's trying to do. Make things look attractive, make things look appealing, make things look curious, inquisitive, so that you give into your impulse. I'm not complaining. This is just a life hack. The entire marketing world is based on this. No marketing is driven to help you in discrimination. And as we're developing from a technology perspective, people's attention spans are becoming more and more lesser. So you have to, if you want to capture their attention, you have to provoke that impulse. That's the challenge of marketing. But anyway, if 75% you're discriminative, 25% impulsive, you're called emotional. 50% eccentric, 50% discriminative, 50% impulsive, you're called eccentric. So someone who's eccentric, someone who is not predictable, someone you can't tell, oh my God, we'll go right or right left. Will he be in a good mood today or not in a good mood today? Uh, Such a person means 50% of the time you don't know. They might just give into some stray thought in their mind, behave funnily. When you are 25% discriminative, but predominantly 75% impulsive, you're a hysterical personality. If you're not discriminative at all, you're only impulsive, you're insane. So it's a scale. Sane and insane are not necessarily opposites, it's a scale. We're all between in the scale of sanity and insanity. Where do we lie is the question. The rare person lies between A and B. The rare person lies between this point and this point. Rare person. Most of us lie between B and C. Strange people lie around C and D. What you call strange, not me. You want to, and as you go from C to D to E, it's you losing a sense of your mind. That's about it. You losing a control of your mind. You become a victim of your own mind. The reason this happens, the reason hysteria sets in, the reason eccentricity sets in, the reason you go insane is nothing but a management of your flow of thought. And this flow of thought is like a ball bouncing down the stairs. The first two or three bounces you can still grab it. But once the ball, you've seen a ball bouncing down the stairs. You let a ball go, first it'll bounce near you only. Little bit it'll go in front. Then it'll hit the first step. Till then you can grab it. Once it crosses the first step, it will immediately jump to the third step. If you crosses the third step, it will immediately jump to the seventh step. Seventh step, once it's down, after the third step, you can't grab it. That's your mind. Once the thoughts build up a lot, you grow, you develop attachment, you develop worry, you develop fear, you become delusional. It's called moha. Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha. When you develop this moha, you lose your sense of who you are, you lose your memory. And with that loss of awareness, you lose your capacity to think. Buddhi nashaha. Famous words in chapter 2, verse 62 and 63 of the Bhagavad Gita. This is not a Bhagavad Gita class, but we're going to reference it a lot. Chapter 2, verse 62 and 63. Go read it. ध्यायते विषयान् पुंसः संगस्तोषुपजायते संगात् संजायते कामान् कामान् क्रोधविजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. You go from sane to insane because of this. On the contrary, we are trying to regain control of our own mind. That's about it. And purify it, cleanse it. That's the job of the knowledge of Vedanta. That's what it teaches us to do. It teaches us the truths of life. It teaches us the laws that govern not just the physical world, but even the subtle world, the psychological world. It teaches us the fundamental principles on the basis of which your mind functions, your buddhi functions. And that knowledge helps you cleanse your mind, fortify your buddhi. कबीरा आपके मन को निर्मल करते हैं गंगा जी के जैसे. And when you do that, you live a peaceful life, a prosperous life, and you gravitate towards spiritual awakening. That's the process. That's what he's going to discuss starting this section.
Your real self. Human beings have lost the knowledge of the real self. Vedanta expounds yourself as supreme, whole, absolute. He who realizes the self enjoys infinite peace and bliss. Having lost the infinite state, humans feel a sense of imperfection, feel a void within. This feeling generates thoughts to flow towards the world to fill the void, to perfect the imperfection felt within. These thought currents are called desires, like thoughts going towards food when the stomach is empty, is the desire for food. The desires thus generated use the body to find sensual pleasure, use the mind to indulge in emotional joy, the intellect to seek rational satisfaction. The quest for happiness goes on perennially. Only the one who has discovered the self within finds complete satiation, total fulfillment. His quest for happiness ceases. His pursuit of pleasure and peace through his body, mind, and intellect ends. This truth has been demonstrated in the lives of self realized sages and saints.
So this is a very important concept. Hmm? I want everyone to. I hope everyone is taking note of this. It's a very important concept. Um, One second. Remove spotlight. Hmm. Okay. I want to see all of your faces because I'm going to talk to you in person. You may or may not agree with this. That's not what we're talking. See, as we said, the first couple of classes we've talked about reason being the sap of Vedanta. We have to go through questioning this. So it's not so much agreeing or disagreeing with this that matters. This is a theory. For you and me, this is a theory. What everyone feels is the void. Is it true or is it not? Is there anyone here who says, I have no void within me? There's nothing that I'm looking for. I'm completely full. I'm so happy. Everything in my life is, up to the brim. I can actually do with a little less. Anybody who doesn't feel any void? Huh? Anybody who has no sense of Rimaji, you're saying you don't have, you have the most number of questions. Huh? Huh? No, I don't mean to point fingers. We are we may feel very grateful, we may feel very happy, we may feel very we may feel a lot of joy. In fact, you and I, the one of the reasons we are here is because life is mostly good. uh, we have more or less you see, you may feel abundantly blessed, absolutely, because you are completely at awe with whatever you have been given. You have a happy family, you have more or less the amount of money you need to live life, a little more than that. You have, now some of you will also be enjoying grandchildren, the joy of your lives. Oh wow, incredible. So a lot of things, beautiful things that life is giving you. But can anyone say, I don't want anything else, I'm done? Life is very good, but there's this one property dispute that's going on. This is troubling me. My mind. Actually, you see, my everything is good except my sibling creating problems for me. My child is not listening to me. Hmm. I really want them to go in this direction. They're a wonderful child. They have so much potential, but they are not. Can you guide him? See, we're not. All I'm saying is your lives must be beautiful, but this still there is something that is missing. You want that something to be done. There is always a void. You may be materially okay. That's also questionable. Have you come to terms with it, or is it that you truly don't want anymore? Have you come to terms with your material situation, or is it that you truly don't want anymore? I'm not. saying one or the other is true. I'm saying you have to question yourself. Is there truly no more exceeding material desire? Physically, physically, have you come to terms with your physical body? Whether it's your looks or your appearances, or whether it is your physical condition. Some people may be developing problems in their knees, uh, some funny issues coming up with the body. I keep recalling this incident. I had a ACL tear. ACL is this ligament in the knee, uh, and it's a rehabilitation process for at least a couple of months because you have to get surgery. Now I believe you don't necessarily have to get surgery. There are some other treatments available. Back in the day, I think 7 8 years ago, there were the prescribed thing was surgery, and then you had to have a rehab for at least 6 to 8 months. So I was just searching, researching before my surgery, what's the right thing to do, what is the right course of action. Little bit of Swamiji's impact had come in me, so I was being discriminative about this action. So I was amazed to see more than the physical rehabilitation. People on the internet were talking about the mental rehabilitation of how they were struggling because of their physical injury. Hmm? Are you in terms with your body? So physical desire, material desire, emotional desire, everything is good. I have been blessed. Oh my God, my child has got, you know, number one in the class. But next, I want them to do this. I really wish they pursue this. I really wish they sort this out. It's always a but. Intellectual desire. I really enjoyed Bhagavad Gita. Now I'm studying Vedanta treatise. But I also want to study from this Swamiji. I also want to study this book. It's always a but. There is a void you're constantly trying to fill within. And no matter what you seem to do in the world, no matter what you seem to do in the world, it brings you a lot of joy. It brings you a lot of satisfaction, no doubt. But that joy, that satisfaction, A, is temporary. It's very fragile. One thing goes wrong in your life, and all that joy will collapse. Khuda na khasta. I don't want it to happen. Please don't get me wrong. I will not wish it, even for my enemies. Khuda na khasta. But I'm only trying to point out how fragile our happiness is. One call you'll get right now, it can turn your life upside down. All the joy will collapse. So the joy you seem to enjoy is a very fragile thing. It's temporary. And that it's always threatened. Secondly, it never seems to be enough. When you were a child, what did you want? I just want that bicycle. I just want that video game. Mom, if you get it for me, I'll be so happy. I'll be done. Okay, video game. Were you happy? No, no, no. Next, you want this toy. Next, you want that toy. Then you became a young person, young adult. I just want to be first in class. I just want to do this. I just want. Are you happy? No. I want to go to my dream college. If you don't get into the dream college, it's true. It may be happening with people you know right now. You got into your dream college. You're doing your dream things, all the courses. Are you happy? No, I'm looking for a partner. Can't find a partner. None of my relationships are working. This is a serious epidemic in my generation. No matter how many dating apps we seem to download, nothing seems to work out. Huh? Stuti, why are you laughing? See, you and I understand. I don't know who else is in our generation out here. Anubhav, are you in our generation? You get a partner. Are you happy? Ask me. After the honeymoon period is over, reality snaps. Reality hits. I want a child, or I want this in my career, or I want this kind of job. Okay, granted. Best job, beautiful child. See, one of the biggest things that's going to happen is genetic engineering in children. In China, it's already happening. You know that? You want your child to have longer legs. You want your child to have stronger biceps. You want a child to have a certain kind of an IQ. Huh? It's happening. CRISPR, it's called CRISPR. Research on it. CRISPR. Read about it, don't research. We're not in a position to research. It's why is this happening? Because parents, with all their right intentions, want the best for their child. So it's you want to absolutely tailor made. You want to tailor make your child. Genetic engineering. What we're trying to say is that these desires seem to be endless. Ask a person who is at 65, 70. Ask Omji, 80s. Omji, are you done? No desire? There is desire. So who am I to talk? Even when you're 70, 80, where do these desires go? They're still there in a different form. You want something else, the thing changes, but the feeling of unfulfillment remains. We're not complaining, we're diagnosing. So this search seems to be endless. So this is the theory. Vedanta says this search, this void from within comes. Why does it come? Because in truth you are your Atman, your real self. In truth you are the self. You have lost knowledge of your real self. He says human beings have lost the knowledge of their real self. Having lost the infinite state, humans feel a sense of imperfection. You are paripurna. You are all full, but you don't know you are all full. You are paripurna in truth, but you know not you are all full. Certain experiences may make us feel very grateful, and we say, I feel very full. But sooner rather than later, that fullness seems to diminish again. So he says, human beings have lost their real self, knowledge of their real self. As a result, they feel a sense of imperfection. You feel a void within. This feeling generates thoughts. So why do thoughts come up in the first place? Why does desire come up in the first place? In order to fill a hollowness within. You have a desire because there is a emptiness which you're trying to fill through that desire. That's the very genesis of a desire. With the hope that whatever object you are desiring will come in and fill it. Whatever void you think you feel, oh, I wish some money will fill it. I wish some name and fame will fill it. I wish a successful career will fill it. I wish a child will fill it. I wish a grandchild will fill it. I wish XYZ thing will fill it. What Vedanta says is no matter how much you aggrandize, no matter how much you achieve, no matter how much you succeed in the world, that void will remain. And you may become satisfied because you're tired of the process. Okay, I'm done. This much void is okay. But that void will remain. He says the quest for happiness goes on perennially. Only one who has discovered the self within finds complete satiation, true fulfillment. The search that you are on, not what I want to put you on, the search you are on, because of the own void you feel within. That search will only end when you discover the self, when you realize your true identity, when you gain what is called enlightenment or self realization. That's not me saying, that's the book saying it. Your quest for happiness will cease then and then alone. Your quest for pleasure through the body, mind, and intellect ends. And this truth has been demonstrated. That's about it. There's no way I can prove it to you. There's no way I can prove it to you. You have to experience it yourself. You have to walk this path yourself. But there is corroboratory evidence. Look at the lives of people. Look at the lives of people. Common, even an older person. Are they done? Have they fulfilled everything they needed? Are they completely satisfied? Are they in a place of absolute satiation? Or is there still a lot of things brewing? A lot of thoughts, a lot of worry, a lot of stress? Is it still brewing? Or a lot of dissatisfaction? Something or the other. A lot of unfulfilled desires. On the contrary, look at a person who is truly spiritually evolved. You have parables after parables, parables after parables of stories of the lives of saints, true saints who want nothing. Hmm. What can I do for you? Nothing. No thanks. I'm good. There's a parable, a beautiful parable which I'll share with you. It's Shravan Mass right now. So all the more we should talk about a parable of Lord Shiva. Hmm. So devotee of Lord Shiva was praying to him, his daily regular prayers. And that devotee had a disease on his right leg. He had elephantitis. Elephantitis. You know what elephantitis is? You don't know it until you've seen it. You don't know it until you've seen it. I still remember, I was in Puri Jagannath. I saw someone with elephantitis and I was aghast. I could just feel how painful it would be. Your leg literally becomes like a trunk of a tree. Literally. It's like a leg of an elephant, thick. Uh, so it's a disease that develops. I don't know if it's bacterial disease or what it is. But one can imagine it will be terribly painful. So such a person, but a devotee of the Lord, the evolved person, going about his prayers. And up from heaven, now wherever heaven is, don't ask me where heaven is, but up from heaven, Goddess Parvati is telling Lord Shiva, listen, he's calling your name every day. You can see he's struggling, he's suffering. Why don't you go and meet him? Go and give him darshan. Lord Shiva was like, he doesn't need it. He's happy just taking my name. He doesn't need my darshan. Uh, The more evolved you are, you don't need darshan. You just satiated in remembering the name of the Lord. But Goddess Parvati was insistent. So he said, fine, I'll oblige. If I don't listen to you, there'll be problems. So he listened to Goddess Parvati and came down to earth and appeared in front of the sage. And the sage was overjoyed. Sage was crying, tears flowing down his eyes. Maharaj, what have I done to deserve this? I'm so overwhelmed, I cannot speak. So Lord Shiva said, you have totally deserved this. You have been one of my best devotees. So I have just come to grant my vision to you, my darshan to you. And Goddess Parvati also came with him. So then she's nudging him. Okay, then Lord Shiva tells him, ask for something, ask for whatever you want. I give you a boon. Huh? How our eyes will light up at the thought of a boon. Huh? Suppose the Lord gave you a boon. Your eyes will light up thinking, oh my God, what can I get? A child will think, oh, I want a PlayStation 5. An adult will think, oh, I want this new property or that thing or this thing. Whatever is our strongest desire, that will light up at the thought of a boon. So the Lord tells the sage, Lord Shiva tells the sage, I give you a boon, ask for anything. The sage felt helpless. He said, what will I ask for? You've given me everything I needed. You've come to see me. Here's a man with elephantitis in his right leg, struggling, living a very simple life. And he's telling the Lord, what can I ask for? I cannot ask for anything. Lord Shiva says, okay, if you don't want anything, great, let's be on. But again, Goddess Parvati is nudging him. No, you have to insist. He asked for something. So he says, you have to ask. I'll not go without you asking. You must ask. If you don't ask me for anything, you're insulting me. So then the sage went into a fix. He's like, I don't know what to ask for. And then he thought for a second. He said, I have one thing I would want to ask you for. I have one thing I want to ask you for. Anybody who hasn't heard this example, do you know what he asked him for? Anybody who hasn't heard the example, you know what he asked him for? A man, simple sage, no wealth, no material wealth. He has elephantitis in his right leg, struggling physically. Any normal person would. Such a person felt helpless to ask. And then he asked him for one thing. He asked the Lord for one thing. What did he ask? Take a wild guess. Someone take a wild guess. What did he ask for? What do you think he asked for? What would you
Maybe
ask?
elephantitis in the other leg so that he can continue chanting God's name.
You're the sage. That's exactly what he asked for. He said, Lord, please shift this elephantitis from the right leg to the left leg. At least I can tell you honestly, even if I was a sage and I was there, I would have asked him, please remove this elephantitis. This is truly incredible. He said, please shift the elephantitis from my right leg to my left leg. The point of this parable is when you are evolved, you are all full. You feel completely helpless to ask. As you grow spiritually, you become freer and freer. Life becomes simpler. And life becomes simpler because your head becomes simpler. Otherwise, it's a khichdi. Huh? It's a khichdi, and you have problems with everyone and everything. Any little thing will bother you. Any little thing will trouble you. You become irritable. See, when there's a lot of unresolved desires within, you become an irritable personality. You become easy to snap. This is just a diagnosis. It's true for you, it's true for me, it's true for all of us. But as you grow spiritually, as the thought stuff within clears, huh, it's a rehabilitation. You become all full. So he says, you will find this fulfillment that you are looking for, this completion, this cessation that you are looking for. It will happen only when you ultimately gain spiritual enlightenment. As you evolve spiritually, as you gain knowledge, you become clearer and clearer. You become more and more fulfilled. And that complete fulfillment will only happen upon self-realization. So you and I are at a state where, of course, we've gained a lot of knowledge, either through experience or through avenues like this. And that knowledge is our fort, right? The reason you and I, to a large extent, are happy today, are, are, are strong in the face of adversity to some extent, is because of the knowledge we possess, of these values we possess. It is not necessarily due to an outward achievement. So as you grow spiritually, you become a fort, become more and more peaceful and content. And once you gain the ultimate experience of self-realization, of enlightenment, we're done. Fulfillment, absolute fulfillment.
Your real self, therefore, remains ever in absolute peace and bliss. That is your original being. No sooner you lose the self, you develop desires. The desires keep pressurizing you to return to your original self, to your primal nature. A simple experiment demonstrates this truth. Place a coil spring 4 feet high on a table. Press it down with your palm to 1 foot. The pressure built in pushes your palm upwards. Release it to 2 feet. The pressure reduces. Release it to 3 feet. The pressure reduces further. Release it to 4 feet. There is no pressure at all. That is because it has reached its original state. Likewise, desires incessantly pressurize a human to gain peace and pleasure. The pressure ends on realizing the self. Hence, the self is said to be your original being.
So he's giving a beautiful example. Just imagine you have a coil spring, huh? A coil spring in front of you, which is about whatever 4 feet in its natural height, and you press it. When you press a coil spring, immediately there'll be a pressure on your palm. There'll be a pressure on your palm to push back up. Hmm? When the coil spring is in its normal height, there's nothing, there's no pressure. You're just balancing it on your bottom palm. But the moment you press it from the top, there's a pressure back onto your palm to go back to its original height. He compares that coil which is being pressed to you and me. He says we are away from our original state at 4 feet. We have lost that original state. We are being pressed down. As a result, we feel a pressure to go back up. We feel a pressure to regain that original state, regain that absolute fulfillment. So desires are that pressure pushing you to gain fulfillment. Just like there's a pressure on your hand when a coil is pressed down away from its original state. The more the coil is pressed, the greater the pressure on your hands. The more the coil is pressed down, the greater the pressure on your hands. Similarly, the further away, the more ignorant you are, the stronger your desires, the stronger this force. The more in darkness you are, as far as spiritual knowledge is concerned, the greater the pressure through desires, through various avenues. And these simple, innocuous seeming desires, you may say, what is wrong in a desire? The same desire for money which is there in you and me is there in a bank robber. The same desire for money which is there in you and me is there in someone who commits crime. The same desire for sensual pleasure that is there in you and me is there in someone who ends up committing a sexual assault. The difference is in degree. The difference is in degree. You and I have it perhaps to a reasonable contained level. Those who don't end up committing actions they shouldn't commit. Some break the glass and cut their fingers, says William Cowper in the poem Pineapple and the Bee. The pressure of desires is so much, it forces you, the object of your desires, across a piece of glass. A piece of glass is like a barrier. You don't care about it. You break the glass and you cut your fingers. You hurt yourself. You hurt those around you. So the same innocuous seeming desires that in you and me are like a simple pressure, in someone who's unable to control them, it forces them in ways to do things which they will regret, they will suffer for. Those around them will suffer. So desires in the beginning seem very innocuous, seem very simple, but if uncontrolled, they can wreak havoc in your life, in my life.
Visualize a diagram with two vertical lines, PA and CD, parallel to each other. In the diagram, Line AB represents human evolution from 0 to 100%. Position A indicates a human being at the lowest state with no spiritual development at all. Position B, the absolute state of self-realization. A person evolves from the state A to B by dropping his desires. Line CD represents his dependence upon the world. Point C represents zero dependence on the world of the self-realized person, as he is totally self-sufficient. Nothing that the world offers can enhance the infinite peace and bliss he enjoys. He is like the ocean whose waters do not rise with all the rivers pouring in. He remains ever absolutely fulfilled. Whereas point D represents total dependence upon the world of a person who has zero development. He's like a piece of wood or stone. In the present world, hardly anyone belongs to the extreme positions. The entire range of human beings fall in between A and B. As one evolves spiritually from A to B, one's dependence on the world diminishes correspondingly from D to C, as illustrated. Thus, the evolution of a person and his worldly needs are inversely proportional. It is a law. The knowledge of Vedanta serves you both ways. It helps you evolve spiritually to reduce your desires. It also enhances the clarity of thought to gain success and progress in your field of activity, thus providing you with material well-being. Consequently, you command material prosperity while your demands remain minimal. That puts you on a pedestal of peace and happiness.
So this Vedanta works both ways. We are all somewhere between A and B in this chart of human evolution. And each point between A and B corresponds to a point between C and D. What does it mean? It means the more you rise from A to B, the lesser your dependence upon the world. If you're at 0% evolution, you're 100% dependent on the world. It's like a plant or like a stone. Whatever happens, the stone is completely dependent on the world around it. The plant is completely dependent on the world around it. The plant cannot drink water by itself, it needs to be given water. If there is no water around, the plant will perish, more or less. A plant can't control the climate. A plant is completely dependent on the climate. You and I, are we dependent on the climate? The weather is not good, turn on the AC. The weather is great, go out. It's raining, take out an umbrella. First thing, no plant can protect itself with an umbrella. A human can protect itself with an umbrella. No animal can protect itself with an umbrella. Nowadays, for pet dogs, you're getting raincoats and all. The pet dogs didn't have the idea to get the raincoat. Humans created the raincoats for them. So an animal, a plant is completely dependent on the world. A human alone has a capacity to gain independence. And that independence is gained in two ways. One which is limited is trying to fix the world. And fair, you'll go a long way in controlling your environment by trying to fix the world. But beyond a point, you cannot control the environment simply by changing things. Your powers are limited. Hmm. For example, it's a hot day and there's load shedding. It's a hot day and there's load. It happened a couple of days ago out here. There was some line that was broken and we had load shedding for 2 3 hours in the heat and humidity of summer. What will happen? You can't change the. There's no AC to turn on. You don't have. Assuming you don't have a generator, there's no AC to turn on. What do you do? So nothing you do will necessarily change your environment. Therein you require knowledge. You require knowledge. You require a sense of resolve. You require titiksha, all these virtues coming out of knowledge to help you manage the situation, to help you deal with the natural suffering for your body. If your body is sweating, why is your mind sweating? If your body is uncomfortable, why is your mind getting uncomfortable? You need knowledge to fortify, to reduce your dependence on the world. Because the world will constantly challenge you. The world will constantly create issues for your body, for your mind, for your intellect. Are you dependent on it? If you are dependent on it, whatever happens in the world happens to you. If you're dependent on it, whatever happens to the world happens to you. If the world is in a good place, you're in a good mood. If the world is not in a good place, you're not in a good mood. You lose your happiness, you lose your sanity. So as you evolve with knowledge, your dependence on the world reduces. It means you're a rock, you're a fortress. There's a beautiful saying: in vain the envious seasons roll, who bears eternal summer in his soul. In vain the envious seasons roll, who bear eternal summer in his soul. His or her, doesn't matter. A person who bears eternal summer in their soul. It means one who is in that place of fulfillment and joy, coming from knowledge, coming from awareness, coming from learning, coming from growth. One who bears that summer within. Summer means a pleasant state. One who bears that pleasant condition within. In vain the envious seasons roll, the seasons outside, the world and the conditions outside, they keep changing. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But that change is in vain. It doesn't affect this person. It doesn't affect this person. One who is fortified from within is not affected by the changing situation outside. He compares it to the ocean, whose waters do not diminish or rise, no matter how much of the rivers are pouring in or how much of the water you take away from it. If today one river dries up and doesn't flow to the ocean, it won't change the sea level. So the oceans that is compared to that fortified mind. It is not affected by changes in its environment. Similarly, as you evolve, your dependence, if you go from 0 to 25 to 50, the moment you're at 50 of evolution, your dependence on the world also diminishes from 100 to 50. The moment you climb to evolution of 75, your dependence on the world becomes 25. It means it's inversely proportional. That's about it. The more you grow, the less you are dependent on the world. You are self-sufficient. You are self-sufficient. We'll discuss the remaining two sections of this chapter in the next class. I'm happy to pause here and take up any questions.
Uddhavji, beautiful description about the knowledge. First of all, I will say Guru Nanak words are Nanak Dukhiya Sab Sansar, means that जितने भी हम बड़े हो जाएं, बहुत कुछ भी पालें, दुख हमेशा हमारे साथ रहेगा. आज आपने नॉलेज की बात की कि मैंने रामतीर्थ की स्टोरी पढ़ी. वो बेचारा कहता था कि एक रोटी कम खा लूंगा और रोटी की जगह में मैं तेल खरीद के पढ़ाई कर लूंगा, नॉलेज प्राप्त करूंगा. दिस वाज हिज क्वेस्ट फॉर नॉलेज. सो रामतीर्थ की जो लाइफ है और हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ा एक उदाहरण है. He walked in America without shoes and without clothes. Only loins cloth was his dress. He always traveled without any luggage. He never touched money.
So I'll pause you right there, Om ji, because हम जब ऐसी चीजें बोलते हैं ना, कई लोगों को डर भी लग जाता है. क्या मुझे क्या मुझे बिना कपड़ों का, बिना किसी
नहीं,
चीज का
वो
घूमना?
बात नहीं,
So
वो
the
बात नहीं.
advantage, the beauty of life and our
नहीं,
culture.
मैं उदाहरण खत्म कर दूंगा.
हाँ,
एक मिनट.
so we are not like a Ramatirtha. I mean, in the sense that we don't have to go through that struggle. Uh, and that's the greatness of Ramatirtha, no doubt, that despite all the adversities they went through, they had the conviction for the knowledge. But compared to that, you and I are in a place of complete luxury. So it only points to the fact that we are in such a better position to gain knowledge than a lot of other people who in such adversity gain knowledge. So it's only important that we don't lose this opportunity. We don't give up this opportunity easily. We have so many teachers around us. We have so many books around us. We have so many resources. So it's all the more important that we make use of this opportunity of gaining spiritual knowledge. Are there any questions? I'd like to address any questions if there are.
Yeah,
क्वेश्चन ये है कि जो उन्होंने कहा है कि डिजायर्स कम करना. अगर डिजायर बिल्कुल ही नहीं करेंगे तो हम करेंगे क्या फिर? डिजायर तो बहुत जरूरी है ही हमारे लिए.
Good question.
तो डिजायर को क्या कम करना है या चैनलाइज करना है या क्या करना है? डिजायर ही हमारा.
डिजायर को जैसे ही चैनलाइज करोगे ऑटोमेटिकली कम हो जाएंगे. अभी खिचड़ी पकी हुई है. जैसे आप एक डिजायर को लोगे, एक डिजायर के मार्ग में चलोगे, एक इच्छा को पूरी शिद्दत से पूरी करने में जुट जाओगे, तो 4 बेकार की जो थॉट्स हैं, बेकार की जो डिजायर्स हैं, ऑटोमेटिकली कम हो जाएंगे. तो आप एक मार्ग चुनो अपने इंस्पिरेशन के हिसाब से, अपनी क्षमता के हिसाब से, अकॉर्डिंग टू योर कैपेसिटी, अकॉर्डिंग टू योर इंस्पिरेशन. पिक one desire, give it a high direction, become consistent in it. Automatically 20 other so it goes hand in hand, they're not opposites. हाँ? आपने एकदम सही कहा कि बिना डिजायर के करेंगे क्या. तो एक डिजायर चुनो और वही करो. 2 डिजायर चुन लो, 3 डिजायर चुन लो, चलो नेगोशिएट करता हूँ आपसे, 3 डिजायर चुन लो, pursue that and give your all in that. Once you take up a desire, it becomes your duty. गीता जी में कहते हैं you ought to do your duty. What is your duty? A duty is something you have taken up based on your desire. So once you take up a desire, it becomes your duty. You have to do it with full shiddat, with full dedication. Automatically other desires will follow. That's karma yoga. Taking up an action with a higher direction, with a higher purpose. Bulk of your desires fall. So they go hand in hand. Yes, Anubhav, you had a question. Anubhav, you had a question?
yeah, sorry, my internet went. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. So basically, it's actually related to Omji's point and question. So are we saying that the void, the intellectual void which leads to the seeking of knowledge from any means is sort of the highest form that we are trying to tap into. Even if from a material we try to get knowledge, material void, we try to get knowledge. Are we trying to tap into that? And is that the highest form of a void or desire, so as to say? That is point one. Just the question one. The second question is just generally as a very early seeker of the Upanishad knowledge, and now Vedanta, which is based on that. It sounds very individualistic. The journey sounds very individualistic. The idea ideas sound very individualistic. Is that true? So these are just two questions I have.
Good, both very good questions. First and foremost, as far as the intellectual desire is concerned, it is subtler. I won't say it is higher necessarily, right? Higher gives a sense of superiority or inferiority. The intellectual desire is subtler than the emotional desire. The emotional desire is subtler than the material desire. The material desire is subtler than the, let's say, physical desire. The physical desire is subtler than the material desire. So in that sense, it's subtler, which means that a little bit of it will go a long way. A little bit of knowledge goes a long way compared to emotion. A little bit of emotion goes a long way. A nice gesture or a pleasant experience you remember for years compared to a physical experience. A physical joy lasts how long? Couple of minutes, couple of hours maximum. So an intellectual void, an intellectual desire is subtler, its impact is greater. That's about it. Right? It's more profound in that sense. But I won't necessarily say it's higher or lower, depending on your nature. Right? Many people may not be drawn towards this. That's why you have what is predominantly the bhakti marga for those who are individually, for emotionally aligned. For those who don't make much of too much of knowledge or too much of emotion, those who are very matter of fact, to the point, there's karma yoga. They are doers, right? Why are you wasting all your time studying all this, man? A little bit, you have enough knowledge, okay? You know enough that you need. Just get on with it. That's a karma yogi speaking, right? A bhakta will say, I don't need so much of talk. I just need to remember the name of the Lord. That's about it. So it's not necessarily higher. It depends on your nature, right? And you have all three in your nature. You have a yogi, you have a bhakta, you have a jnani in your nature in different proportions. So you have to give yourself this in different different degrees, in different proportions, right? Coming to your second question, it's very individualistic. Absolutely, it is individualistic. The journey is a single file path. The journey is a single file path. The beauty of our tradition is that we have managed to take this individualistic journey and merge it with a social structure, right? Whether you talk about the four ashramas, brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas, very scientifically designed or expounded, right? Based on the state of the individual at different points in their life, right? So here's an individual journey which is determining where you lie socially and what automatically your obligations become, your duties become, your role becomes. The role of a brahmacharya is very different from the role of a grihastha, is very different from the role of a vanaprasthi. So while it is individualistic, each stage also points to a certain social strata, a social obligation, a social duty, right? That said, just as there is a individual journey, there's a collective journey as well, right? So when the collective is at a state of evolution, we call it satyug. When the collective is at a state of a fragile state, it's called Treta Yuga. When the collective is at a state of decline, it's called Dwapar Yuga. When the collective is at a state of helplessness, it's called Kali Yuga. So it's kaleidoscopic almost. It's every individual on their journey, right? And how that mixes into a collective is also beautiful. But yes, fundamentally, it is an individualistic journey. It's a single file path. You cannot walk this path even with your near and dear ones. You can support them, they can support you, but ultimately, it's a path you walk on your own. Those who have
Uddhavji,
questions can
can I
raise
take
their,
can I take 1 or 2 minutes more to tell my own experience about life?
Omji,
इन्होंने पाथ बोला है.
We will certainly hear that. I will request you if you can. There were one or two more people who wanted to ask questions. Once you're done with their questions, we will certainly.
Okay.
Thank you for your patience. Yes. Stuti, you had a question. Yes. You can raise your thumb. There's a way to raise your thumb. I don't know
I'll
how.
do that. I'll do that. Thank you.
No, now you can ask the question. For others, I'm saying reaction. In reactions, you can raise your thumb.
Okay, ठीक है. Okay, my question is, I think, quite simple. So the idea is to declutter, right? And follow one goal and follow a path. But isn't the idea also to get rid of all desires? So isn't this slightly contradictory also, where we are kind of, holding on to one goal, removing all the others, decluttering, trying to fulfill that goal, but on the other hand, the idea is also to ultimately let go and of all desires. And isn't that what we are also taught?
Absolutely. Now, the whole point is that you can't quite reach PhD level straight from junior school. See, when you start studying chemistry, what are you taught? There is a nucleus in an atom. The atom has a circular structure. There's a nucleus in the middle. And you studied science till class
10th.
till 10th. Okay.
And I
So,
had commerce with maths.
okay, great. You studied science till 10. So initially, what were you taught? If you remember any chemistry, there's a nucleus in the middle. Inside the nucleus, there are protons and neutrons. Around it, there are these lines. And in the lines, there are balls called electrons moving around. That's the initial understanding you're given. The moment you come to college level chemistry, you are told to forget that. There are you can't actually, it doesn't quite work that way. It's a little more subtler than that, right? They call them electron clouds. Suddenly, electrons have become clouds. Electrons have become probabilities. So it becomes more comprehensive, more complicated. But when knowledge is first given, or the first steps of learning is a little simplified for the learner, right? Now, God knows who will walk all the way till the PhD. You and I may not walk till the PhD level, but at least we want to help you to graduate from class 5 to class 10. We want to get you there so that you complete your ICSC or CBSE, whatever, 10th. If you get that, if you rise those 4 or 5 steps in the spiritual journey itself, your life will be fairly peaceful. You'll have gotten some benefit. Those who want to go beyond it, the same concept is refined, right? So when it comes to this particular concept of desires, ultimately, yes, the eventual goal is to become desireless, is to become actionless, thoughtless. But it's hard to conceive. What does that mean? And here's a misconception. See, becoming desireless is compared to a snake removing their old skin, or is compared to removing a thorn from suppose you're working in your work itself. You might be working with wooden furniture. If you're working with wooden furniture, a splinter will go inside. There'll be a splinter going inside. What do? How do you remove the splinter? If you don't have those, maybe it's gone very deep, so you can't take tweezers. What do? You take a needle. You take a needle and you pierce around your skin so that you can, help take out that thorn. You're using a thorn. A needle is just a thorn. You're using a thorn to take out a thorn. So similarly, the process of eliminating desire is through desire. You pick up a higher desire to eliminate lower desires. You give a direction and consistency and give some meaning to one desire, 20 other useless desires fall away. Right? So decluttering and picking up one direction is part of the process. It's not the final process. It's not the final goal. Right? Ultimately, once you do this, we talk about detachment. We talk about vairagya. Huh? It's so you first pick up your swadharma, then you develop vairagya. Picking up your swadharma is like picking up one direction. Then developing vairagya is like going beyond it. So it comes in stages. So there's no contradiction. Does that answer? Yeah.
Thank you.
Anilji, you had a question. You're on mute, Anilji. Now your video is also gone. The other button.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you. Yes.
आ रही है आवाज मेरी? I just want to ask, हम लोगों की सिचुएशन, हम लोगों की लाइफ में ये सिचुएशन अक्सर आती है कि हम किसी चीज के लिए वरिड होते हैं। तो जिस चीज के लिए वरिड होते हैं वो थॉट्स बार बार आके हमें परेशान करते हैं। तो उन थॉट्स को हटाने के लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं?
देखिए, जब थॉट्स बहुत ही ज्यादा आ रहे हैं तो एक ठंडा गिलास पानी पियो। अगर बहुत ही बेचैनी हो रही है तो फर्स्ट थिंग्स फर्स्ट, अपने आप को थोड़ा ठंडा करो। टेक अ स्टेप बैक। बिकॉज वो जब थॉट्स बहुत आ रही है तो हम बहुत इम्पल्सिव हो जाते हैं, हमारे अंदर बहुत इमोशंस आती हैं, हमारे भय आता है, गुस्सा आता है, वरी, ऑल सॉर्ट्स ऑफ थिंग्स कम, राइट? सो इट्स इम्पॉर्टेंट टू literally calm down or help someone calm you down. Thereafter, it is only knowledge which will help you and understanding. अगर किसी के प्रति कोई thoughts आ रही है, suppose it's a complaint about someone else, you have to apply the knowledge. Everybody is acting according to their own nature. You have to adjust to their nature, not the other way around. You have to act intelligently around their nature, not the other way around. Knowledge will help you see things as they are. अगर कोई सिचुएशन अच्छी है या खराब है, उसे डायग्नोस करना, उसे समझना. Your intellect has to play a role in assessing the situation and understanding what is the probable next outcome. Suppose इंडिया को 15 बॉल में 60 रन चाहिए जीतने के लिए, हाँ, क्रिकेट मैच में, तो आपकी इंटेलेक्ट क्या बोलेगी आपके मन को? छोड़ दो, अब चिंता करना बेकार है. So your intellect has to be has to assess the situation, has to see things as they are. अगर सिचुएशन अच्छी है या फिर कुछ सुधार मिल सकता है या फिर कुछ सोल्यूशन निकल सकता है, उसे भी वो करना पड़ेगा. बट जब आपके मन में वो बेचैनी हो रही है, उस समय आप सोच नहीं सकते, तो उसके लिए एक ठंडा गिलास पानी पी करके पीछे बैठ करके आराम से ठंडे दिमाग से सोचना पड़ेगा. बस वही बात है. बिकॉज ओनली योर बुद्धि कैन हेल्प कंटेन द माइंड, नथिंग एल्स. एंड the intellect's knowledge, the intellect's insight, the intellect's assessment of the situation alone will bring a sense of confidence in you, will bring a reassurance in you, or will bring an acceptance in you of the situation, one or the other. So your buddhi alone can calm your mind. Either you use your own buddhi or you rely on someone else's buddhi. If your own buddhi is not sufficient, take guidance. Seek out help. There's no harm in seeking out help. हम सोचते हैं हम दूसरों को कैसे पूछ सकते हैं. We feel almost shy or ashamed. We don't want others to know. This is one of the biggest problems. आज के दिन में लोग मजबूर हो जाते हैं बट दूसरों को अपनी प्रॉब्लम्स नहीं बताते. मजबूर क्यों होते हैं? बिकॉज खुद की बुद्धि is not able to find a solution. It's tying itself in knots. But हम out of some kind of shame, funny kind of shame, we don't share our problems with others. And उसी घुटन में हम जीते हैं. So that's also a problem. So if your buddhi cannot solve it, take help. from someone else's buddhi. Ultimately, it is only a buddhi which will solve the mind's problem. Does that answer your question?
मैं इसको जनरलाइज क्वेश्चन को स्पेसिफिक करता हूँ मैं आपको।
हाँ जी।
मेरा एक बहुत क्लोज फ्रेंड है
हम्म,
जिससे मतलब कि मेरा किसी तरह का कोई अनबन नहीं है, तो हम लोग हमेशा बात करते हैं। तो पिछले कुछ दिनों से वो मेरे मैसेज का रिप्लाई नहीं कर रहा, मेरी कॉल को एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर रहा, जिसकी कोई वजह नहीं है।
हम्म।
तो ये थॉट बार बार मेरे मन में आता है, जबकि मैं उससे कम्युनिकेट कर नहीं पा रहा हूँ। तो ऐसी सिचुएशन में क्या कर सकते हैं?
आप बहुत करीब हो।
बहुत करीब है, हाँ। अक्सर मतलब जब भी मैं कभी कॉल करता था, तो वो अगर अवेलेबल नहीं है तो मुझे नेक्स्ट डे कॉल बैक करता था, और स्पेसिफिकली उसको मैसेज कर दिया फिर भी नहीं कर रहा। तो जबकि कोई वजह नहीं है, तो समझ
हाल
में नहीं
चाल
आता।
ठीक है उसके?
हाँ जी।
हाल चाल ठीक है उसके?
ये तो पता नहीं लग रहा जब कम्युनिकेशन नहीं हो रहा तो।
दिल्ली में है वो?
हाँ जी।
दिल्ली में रहते हैं?
हाँ, दिल्ली में।
घर पहुंचो।
हाँ, तो यही नेक्स्ट स्टेप, मैंने भी यही सोचा हुआ है, लेकिन मैंने कहा एक बार आपसे डिस्कस करें।
नहीं, आपके करीबी दोस्त हैं, ऐसे नहीं कि 2 महीने पहले दोस्ती हुई है।
हाँ
घर
हाँ हाँ, ये तो मैंने भी सोचा था, मैंने कहा
बेचैनी,
एक बार आपसे भी डिस्कस करें।
आपके आपके हेल्थ के लिए भी बेचैनी हो रही है मुझे।
हाँ।
That's the role of a friend also. Maybe
हम्म।
it's not necessarily because of you that they are not answering. It may be because something they are dealing with. घर पहुंच जाओ। आप करीबी दोस्तों, आप नहीं पहुंचोगे तो और कौन पहुंचेगा?
बिल्कुल।
हाँ जी, ओम जी।
सब आपने बहुत अच्छा जवाब दिया। इनका जवाब एक ये भी था कि वरी इज लाइक ए रॉकिंग चेयर। वो
हम्म।
चलती तो बहुत है, लेकिन पहुंचती कहीं भी नहीं है।
हम्म।
तो ये जो जवाब है बहुत अच्छा है। दूसरी बात ये है कि देखिए,
ये आपकी ओरिजिनल है कि आपने कहीं से उठाई है?
नहीं ये तो देखिए सुनी सुनाई बातें ही हैं, तो
ठीक है,
थोड़ी
ठीक
अपनी।
है। मैं भी आपका मतलब ये, आप मेरे गुरु हो यहाँ पे, मैं आपसे ये
नहीं नहीं
एग्जांपल
ऐसे
दूंगा,
नहीं।
एंड मैं जरूर इस एग्जांपल को कंटिन्यू करूँगी, रिपीट
और
करूँगा। रियली लाइक दैट एग्जांपल।
और दूसरी बात ये है कि ये इनको एक अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली है। ये सोच रहे हैं कि वही है कि वो बेचारा कहीं बीमार ना हो, कहीं बेचारे में कोई कष्ट ना आया हो, जो आपने बोला भी है। तो इट इज गुड फॉर हिम टू गो एंड लुक फॉर हिम इंस्टेड ऑफ वेटिंग फॉर हिम टू रिप्लाई। सो एनीवे, दिस इज वन थिंग।
माय पॉइंट आउट देयर इज कि वरी करने से कुछ होता नहीं है। हाँ, राइट। एज यू सेड, वरी।
होता है, सिचुएशन खराब होती है।
एग्जैक्टली, और खराब होती है तो वरी का समाधान ढूंढो, सोल्यूशन ढूंढो। Don't think, oh, is it right to worry or is it wrong to worry? If you're worrying about it, you're worrying about it. It's a fact, right? Find a solution to it. Act upon it.
और दूसरी बात आपने अच्छी ये बोली है कि अगर अपना माइंड काम ना करता हो तो उसका माइंड यूज करो जिसका माइंड काम कर रहा है।
Correct.
जैसे आपसे उन्होंने पूछा है, और ये पूछना उचित भी है और जायज भी है और लेजिटिमेट भी है। अच्छा, मैं एक छोटी सी एग्जांपल अपनी देता हूँ
जी सर।
कि आपको शायद सुन के हैरानी होगी कि आई एम एक्चुअली स्विमर।
या तो
आई आई एम ए 1 किलोमीटर स्विमर एवरी डे। आई स्विम, या आपको सरप्राइज होगा। एंड आई हैव वन मोर देन 150 मेडल्स। ये गोल्ड मेडल मैं आपको दिखा रहा हूँ खाली दिखाने के लिए। उसमें मैं है पार्टिसिपेटेड इन इंटरनेशनल ऑल्सो। देयर आई वाज फोर्थ इन वन इवेंट, दैट इज 800 मीटर्स, एंड सेवंथ इन 400 मीटर्स। तो मेरी अभी भी डिजायर है, ऐसा नहीं है कि नहीं है। आपने पूछा ना कि मैं गोल्ड मेडल क्यों नहीं, क्योंकि फोर्थ होने से मेडल नहीं मिलता। तो मेरे को मेडल की डिजायर है, तो आई एम वेटिंग फॉर 2025, जब कोरिया में वर्ल्ड मास्टर होगा। अभी जापान में होना था, लेकिन कोविड की वजह से हुआ नहीं। तो मेरे को उम्मीद है, तो मेरे को उस उम्मीद ने मेरे को जिंदा रखा हुआ है, और मैं स्ट्रगल कर रहा हूँ। और मेरी हेल्थ इसके लिए अच्छी है कि बिकॉज ऑफ दिस डिजायर ओनली। ये डिजायर कि मेरे को जीतना है, और वह जीतने के लिए जो मैं शिद्दत कर रहा हूँ रोज। अभी मैं यहाँ से सीधा अभी जाऊंगा 1 किलोमीटर स्विमिंग करूंगा, जो कि बहुत मुश्किल है लोगों के लिए। मैं देखता हूँ लोग हाफ के खड़े हो जाते हैं, फिर डुबकियां मारते रहते हैं, फिर आज वापस बाहर आ जाते हैं। मैं नहीं आता, कंटिन्यूअसली एक घंटे में 1 किलोमीटर कर लेता हूँ। मैं कोई बहुत बड़ी बात नहीं बोल रहा, मैं यही बोलना चाहता हूँ कि अपनी जिंदगी में मैं कोई स्पोर्ट्समैन नहीं था। एक कोच ने मेरे को देख लिया, बोला कि साहब आप स्विमिंग कर सकते हैं। तो 50 मीटर स्विम करना भी बहुत मुश्किल था मेरे को, बहुत मुश्किल था। मैंने कैसे भी किया, फिर धीरे धीरे नेशनल इवेंट में पार्टिसिपेट किया, तो मेरे को 50 मीटर में एक मेडल मिला, वो भी सिल्वर मेडल। तो आई वॉज सो हैप्पी, दैट वॉज द मोटिवेशन फैक्टर फॉर मी। फ्रॉम दैट डे ऑनवर्ड 2001 to 2023, this year I won 4 medals. In Dubai also I went and I got 4 gold medal. I'm not saying, I am saying कि अगर एकाग्र हो जाओ, एक ही चीज के पीछे पड़ जाओ, तो कहीं ना कहीं तो आप पहुंच ही जाओगे। यही मैं कहना चाहता हूँ। मैं कोई ये गप नहीं मार रहा कि भाई बहुत बड़ा मैंने काम किया, लेकिन मैं सोचता हूँ मेरी बहुत इज्जत है वैसे स्विमिंग फील्ड में, लेकिन आदमी चाहे तो अपनी डिजायर को के सहारे बहुत आगे बढ़ भी सकता है। मेरा
Absolutely.
कहना यही है।
This is incredible. But thank you for sharing this. And this is a living example of what we're talking about. किसी एक चीज को लेकर के आगे बढ़ो। एक तो उसी वजह से आप फिट हो आज के दिन, उसी वजह से आपका मन भी शांत है रिलेटिवली।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
जो सो उस एक एक स्वधर्म ने आपके सारे अनेक बेकार के चिंता और बेकार के थॉट्स को एलिमिनेट कर दिया। सो एब्सोल्युटली वंडरफुल एग्जांपल, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर शेयरिंग।
जो आदमी को हीन भावना होती है कि देखो मैंने जिंदगी में कुछ भी नहीं किया, ये बहुत बड़ी एक आसरा है कि मैंने कुछ किया। ये भी बहुत